Welcome back to another video, to another set of two videos. And this video is called "The Most Powerful Countries in every Century Explained in 7 Minutes." And the next one is "Every Major War Explained in 10 Minutes." Uh, let's
In
go.
this video, you'll learn about
Wait, I'm Draco and I'm joined by
Grim.
I almost forgot to do that part, but we got there in the end.
the Umayyad Caliphate that stretched 3 continents, the Mongol Empire that was the largest contiguous empire ever, and the USA who defeated both the Germans and the Soviets, and we will go from the 1st century all the way to the 21st. The Roman Empire. The Roman Empire dominated the Mediterranean world, stretching from Britain to Egypt. Augustus became the first emperor, marking the start of Imperial Rome. Rome boasted vast road networks, aqueducts, and architecture. Latin spread throughout Europe, laying the foundation for Romance languages. A powerful army enforced peace, despite civil wars and barbarian invasions. Rome left a legacy that shaped the Western world. The Sasanian Persian Empire. The Sasanian Empire was the last great Persian empire before the rise of Islam. It was a major rival of Rome, often
Before the
clashing over
rise of
Mesopotamia
Islam.
and Armenia. Its capital, Ctesiphon, stood as a center of Persian culture.
I'll be honest, I thought they were already Islam. I didn't know it was before. Oh, but that says the 4th century right there. So that's like what? The 500s?
And
No.
Zoroastrian faith. The Sasanian
It was 14th century. That wasn't 14th. 4th century wasn't the 500s?
No.
Huh.
No, you're right, I think.
What was before? My brain keeps wanting to say uh the 14th. No, I was wrong. It was from 301 to 400. So I was off by like what? 200 years. Yeah, okay.
promoted art, architecture, and science. Trade routes connected Persia to India and China. The empire maintained a strong cavalry-based army. Religious tensions occasionally erupted with Christian minorities. Despite wars with Rome, Persia remained resilient and influential. Those were the ancient empires. Now let's move on to the medieval empires. The Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire preserved Roman traditions while blending them with Greek and Christian elements. Under Emperor Justinian, it reached its greatest territorial extent. His general Belisarius reconquered parts of North Africa and Italy. Constantinople was a wealthy and fortified capital with the Hagia Sophia as its jewel. The empire faced constant threats from Persians, Slavs, and internal revolts. Christianity became embedded in society. Despite setbacks, Byzantium remained the eastern pillar of European civilization. The Umayyad Caliphate. The Umayyad Caliphate rapidly expanded across the Middle East, North Africa, and into Spain. At its peak, it was the largest empire the world has seen, uniting regions under Islamic rule. Damascus was the capital. The Caliphate standardized coinage and language. It facilitated trade and infrastructure like roads and postal systems. Arabic spread across 3 continents. The empire promoted religious tolerance for Jews and Christians. Revolt eventually led to its fall and replacement by the Abbasids. The Carolingian Empire. The Carolingian Empire under Charlemagne was Western Europe's most powerful state. Charlemagne expanded his realm across modern France, Germany, and Italy. He was crowned emperor by the Pope in 800, reviving the idea of a Western Roman Empire. The empire promoted Christianity and established monasteries and schools. Action became the imperial capital. Latin literacy was preserved through the Carolingian Renaissance. Feudalism began to take shape under Charlemagne's rule. After his death, the empire fractured among his heirs. Its legacy influenced medieval European politics and identity. The Song Dynasty. The Song Dynasty marked a golden age for China in technology, culture, and commerce. Though territorially smaller than earlier dynasties, the capital Kaifeng was bustling with advanced infrastructure. Innovations included movable type printing, gunpowder weapons, and the compass. Trade flourished via river systems in the South China Sea. Despite military weakness against nomads, the Song Dynasty set the stage for future Chinese advancements. The Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire was a loose confederation of territories centered in Germany. It was led by an emperor elected by powerful princes. It held significant influence in European religious and political affairs. Despite internal fragmentation, the empire could mobilize powerful military force. It protected Christendom from external threats and supported the spread of Christianity in Eastern Europe. Cities like Aachen and Regensburg were imperial centers. Its decentralized structure would define it for centuries. France. France was a rising power under the Capetian kings. Though the king directly controlled only a small domain, royal authority gradually expanded. French culture and language influenced neighboring regions. Gothic architecture flourished, with cathedrals like the Notre Dame beginning construction. The monarchy began exerting its dominance over rebellious nobles. The Crusades increased France's prestige and military experience. Paris emerged as a hub of learning and religion. France laid the foundation for becoming a European powerhouse. The Mongol Empire. The Mongol Empire was the largest contiguous empire in history, stretching from Korea to Eastern Europe. Founded by Genghis Khan, it united the steppes into a fearsome military machine. It facilitated trade and cultural exchange along the Silk Road. Mongol rule was brutal in conquest but tolerant in governance. Cities like Karakorum and later Kambalik became centers of power. The empire split into Khanates after Genghis Khan's death, but remained influential. Those were the medieval empires. Now it's time for the modern empires. The Ming Dynasty. The Ming Dynasty restored Han Chinese rule after the fall of the Mongol-led Yuan Dynasty. It re-established centralized bureaucracy and rebuilt the Great Wall. Under the Ming, China became the world's largest economy. Massive infrastructure projects included the
Really?
Grand Canal and the Forbidden
I
City.
didn't know that about
Admiral
the
Zheng
Ming.
He led grand naval expeditions across Asia and Africa. The dynasty resisted foreign influence. Despite internal corruption later on, the 14th century saw a resurgence of Chinese power and culture. Spain. Spain rose to global prominence in the 15th century after the unification of Castile and Aragon. The Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, completed the Reconquista and funded Columbus's voyages to the New World. Spain quickly amassed a vast overseas empire in the Americas. Gold and silver from the colonies fueled its wealth and power. Madrid became the imperial capital. A strong navy allowed control over trade routes. Spain also played a major role in European wars and politics. Its power laid the foundation for the dominance in the Americas. The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was a dominant power, controlling vast territories across Europe, Asia, and Africa. At its peak, it was led by powerful sultans like Solomon the Magnificent. Constantinople became a thriving imperial capital. Its military, especially the elite janissaries, was formidable. Trade flourished across the Silk Road and the Mediterranean. The Ottomans was a major naval power, controlling key sea routes. They rivaled the Habsburgs and the Persians for dominance. Still centralized and wealthy, regional autonomy sometimes caused instability. France. France was a dominant European power throughout the 17th and much of the 18th century. Under Louis XIV, France centralized its monarchy and became a model of absolutism. French culture, language, and fashion set the standard across Europe. France had the largest population in Western Europe and one of the most powerful armies. It expanded territorially through wars and challenging the Habsburgs' dominance. The French Revolution erupted in 1789, overthrowing the Austrian regime. This led to the rise of Napoleon, whose rule extended France's influence across Europe before the empire's eventual collapse. The British Empire. The British Empire became the most extensive empire in history, ruling over nearly a quarter of the world's land and people. London was the capital of a global network with colonies in India, Africa, the Caribbean, and beyond. The Royal Navy ensured control of sea routes and trade. The Industrial Revolution gave it an unparalleled technological and production edge. English became a global language. Railroads, telegrams, and steamships connected distant parts of the empire. Despite growing resistance in the colonies, Britain maintained global hegemony throughout the century. Its power began to wane only after World War I. The United States of America. The United States emerged as a dominant global superpower in the 20th century, especially after World War II. Its territory spans across North America. With unmatched industrial output, the U.S. led in technology, culture, and military power. It played a decisive role in both world wars. It competed with the Soviet Union for global influence. After the USSR's collapse, the U.S. became the world's sole superpower. American values of democracy and capitalism spread globally through diplomacy, trade, and pop culture. Despite facing
Ew.
challenges in the 21st century, it retains immense economic and military influence. Washington, D.C. serves as the capital, while cities like New York and Los Angeles shape global trends. Thanks for watching, and subscribe so we can beat 2
Wait, am I dumb? Yeah, I'm being
billion
dumb.
population.
What was the list again? Rome, Persia, Rome again, essentially. Uh, China. Okay.
In this video, learn about all the
Under Undertale. Okay, cool. I don't. I don't have anything to say from the last video. Yeah, I can't think of anything. Do you,
Yeah, me
Aaron?
neither. I mean, it was just it was I mean, no, not really. I mean, it was just talking about all the empires throughout the centuries, you know?
Yeah. Let's keep going.
In this video, learn about all the most important and catastrophic wars, from ancient wars like the Punic Wars, all the way to modern wars such as World War II, and even ongoing wars like the Ukraine and Gaza war. These will be explained in the most entertaining and time-efficient manner, so watch the video all the way to the end so you can become more informed.
I can't even see what list you have here, buddy.
Why did you pick this frame?
Explained in the most entertaining and time-efficient manner, so watch the video all the way.
Trojan, Persian, I don't know. Pel Peloponnesian, I think.
Peloponnesian.
Punic Wars, 30 years, not 30 wars, 30 years, Napoleonic Revolution, Civil War, 1, 2, Vietnam Gulf, Afghan, Ukraine and Gaza. Here we
To
go.
the end so you can become more informed. The Trojan War, as depicted in Greek mythology, is supposedly occurred around the 12th century BC and involved a legendary war between the city of Troy and a coalition of Greek states. The war's cause was the abduction of Helen by Paris of Troy, which led to a Greek invasion to retrieve her. The Greeks famously used a wooden horse to take over the city, leading to Troy's destruction. Though the historical accuracy of the Trojan War is debated, it has left a mark on Western literature and art, influencing works like Odyssey. The Persian Wars. The Persian Wars were a series of wars between the Persian Empire and Greece. Conflict began with the Persian Empire attempting to expand into Greece, first encountering resistance from Greek colonies in Asia Minor. The most famous battles of the war occurred at Marathon, Thermopylae, and Salamis. Despite facing overwhelming numbers, the Greeks, particularly the Athenians, were able to repel the Persians and secure their independence. The wars were a pivotal moment in the history of establishing the dominance of Greek culture and ideas, and they laid the foundation for the future rise of the Greek Empire under Alexander the Great. The Peloponnesian War. The Peloponnesian War was a war between Athens and its allies or Sparta and its allies. This war had shifting alliances, prolonged sieges, and the collapse of Athenian power. Athens, with its strong navy, engaged in a strategy of naval superiority and indirect warfare, while Sparta, with its superior land army, sought direct confrontation. The war decimated the Greek city-states, leaving them vulnerable to later conquest by Macedonia. The aftermath also led to the weakening of the classical Greek ideals and paved the way for the rise of more authoritarian forms of government in Greece. The Punic Wars. The Punic Wars are a series of 3 wars between Rome and Carthage. The First Punic War was fought for control of the island of Sicily and ended with Rome's victory and its expansion of its naval power. In the Second Punic War, the famous Carthaginian general Hannibal brought the fight to Rome, famously crossing the Alps with elephants to invade Italy, but ultimately failed to secure victory due to Rome's resilience and strategic countermeasures. The Third Punic War resulted in the complete destruction of Carthage, after which Rome expanded its dominance over the western Mediterranean. These wars are credited with shaping Rome's transition from a regional power to a Mediterranean superpower. The 30 Years' War. The 30 Years' War was a war between the Catholic countries of Spain and Austria versus the Protestant countries of France, Sweden, Prussia, and Denmark. The war started between the Protestant and Catholic factions within the Holy Roman Empire. Then it spread throughout Europe. The war caused destruction with widespread famine, disease, and civilian casualties. The Peace of Westphalia, which ended the war, marked the beginning of the modern state system by recognizing the sovereignty of individual nations. This war also established the idea of religious tolerance in European diplomacy. The Napoleonic Wars. The Napoleonic Wars were wars between Napoleon's French army versus various European coalitions. These wars altered the European political landscape and were a result of Napoleon's ambition to spread the republics throughout Europe. With stunning victories at battles like Austerlitz and Leipzig, Napoleon seemed destined to dominate Europe. However, his disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812, combined with the resilience of the British, led to his downfall. After his exile to Elba, Napoleon escaped and was ready for round 2, but Napoleon was finally defeated at Waterloo in 1815. The wars not only ended the Napoleonic era, but also inspired movements of nationalism and liberalism across Europe. The American Revolution. The American Revolution was sparked by growing discontent in the American colonies with Britain. The early battles at Lexington and Concord ignited widespread rebellion, and the Continental Congress, led by George Washington, declared independence from Great Britain in 1776. The war featured significant battles, including Saratoga, which persuaded France to enter the war as an ally to the U.S. in Yorktown, where British General Cornwallis surrendered to Washington's forces in 1781. The Treaty of Paris in 1783 formally recognized U.S. independence. This revolution not only reshaped the political landscape of North America, but also sparked revolutionary movements around the world. The American Civil War. The American Civil War was a war between the United States of America versus the Confederate States of America. This war was driven by issues over slavery, states' rights, and economic interest. The Union, led by President Abraham Lincoln, sought to preserve the United States as one nation and to end the practice of slavery, while the Confederacy fought to maintain slavery and to secede from the Union. The war had bloody battles like Gettysburg and Antietam, and saw technological advances like the ironclad warships. The war ended with the surrender of the South to Appomattox in 1865, leading to the abolishment of slavery through the 13th Amendment, and the beginning of the difficult Reconstruction period for the Southern states. World War I. World War I was a global war between the Entente, which included France, Great Britain, Russia, Italy, and America, versus Central Powers, which included Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. It was ignited by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. The war was characterized by trench warfare, massive loss of life, and the use of new technologies such as tanks, machine guns, poison gas, flamethrowers, grenades, airplanes, submarines, and armored cars.
Yeah,
The
World
war
War
featured
One was
significant
unhinged.
battles at Marne, Gallipoli, Jutland, Verdun, and Brusilov. The war's end in 1918 saw the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed harsh reparations on Germany and redrew borders across Europe. The conflict caused a shift in global power, leading to the collapse of empires like Austria-Hungary and Ottoman Empire, and laid the groundwork for World War II. World War II. World War II was the most catastrophic war in human history, involving nearly every nation in the world. It began with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany, followed by the U.S. entry into the war after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. The war involved massive battles such as Stalingrad, D-Day, and the Pacific Island hopping campaigns, and saw new technological advances such as radars, the atomic bomb, and jet aircraft. The war ended with the unconditional surrender of Germany in May of 1945 and Japan in September 1945 after the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war's aftermath led to the establishment of the United Nations and a new era of U.S. and Soviet rivalry known as the Cold War. The Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was a Cold War-era conflict that pitted communist North Vietnam, backed by Soviet Union and China, against South Vietnam, supported by America. The U.S. sought to prevent the spread of communism in Southeast Asia, leading to direct military intervention. The war was marked by intense guerrilla warfare and the use of heavy airstrikes and chemical agents, and saw new technological advances such as the Huey, Claymore mines, the grenade launcher, TOW missiles, and the F-100 Super Sabre. Despite having a superior military, the U.S. was unable to defeat the determined North Vietnamese forces. The war ended with the fall of Saigon in 1975, leading to the unification of Vietnam under communist rule, sparking widespread anti-war protests in the U.S. The Gulf War. The Gulf War was a war between the United States of America and Iraq, and began when Iraq, under the leadership of Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait over oil reserves and territorial disputes. A U.S.-led force was formed to push Iraqi forces out of Kuwait. The war saw new technology, including stealth aircraft, UAVs, Tomahawk cruise missiles, and GPS. The war was largely fought in the desert, with Operation Desert Storm being the most famous military campaign. Iraq was forced to retreat and Kuwait was liberated, but Saddam Hussein remained in power. The Gulf War demonstrated the effectiveness of modern military technology and the role of the U.S. in global geopolitics. The Afghanistan War. The Afghanistan War was a war between the United States of America and Afghanistan, and began in response to September 11th terrorist attacks. The early years of the war saw the rapid overthrow of the Taliban, but the conflict soon turned into an insurgency as the Taliban regrouped. The war saw the use of new technologies like the F-22, the F-35, the M1A2 Abrams, and the MQ-1 Predator. The U.S. focused on counterinsurgency, nation building, and combating terrorism, but the conflict remained in a stalemate for much of its duration. In 2021, the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan, and the Taliban regained control of the country and control over $7 billion worth of American military equipment. It raised many questions about the effectiveness of the intervention and the challenges of rebuilding rebuilding a war-torn country. The Ukraine War. The Ukraine War is a war between Ukraine and Russia, and began when Russia launched a full-scale invasion into Ukraine, citing security concerns and the desire to prevent Ukraine from joining NATO. The war has resulted in widespread destruction, with intense battles for control of key cities like Kyiv, Mariupol, and Donetsk. The Ukrainian resistance has proven unexpectedly strong, forcing Russia to reassess its military strategy. The war has also caused a humanitarian crisis, with millions of refugees fleeing the conflict. The international community remains divided, with Western countries supporting Ukraine with military aid and sanctions on Russia, while Russia seeks to solidify control over Ukrainian territory. The war is shaping the future of European security and international relations. The Gaza War. The Gaza War is a war between Israel and Palestine over territorial disputes, political autonomy, and security. These wars have been marked by rocket attacks, airstrikes, and military operations in the densely populated Gaza Strip, resulting in high casualties, especially among civilians. Wars often erupt in response to escalation in violence, including disputes over Jerusalem, settlement building, or retaliatory attacks. The conflict is rooted in a long history of territorial disputes, with both Israelis and Palestinians seeking sovereignty over the same land. Despite several ceasefires and peace negotiations, a lasting resolution remains elusive, and the situation
I don't think that's never gonna happen. I'll be honest with you.
continues to fuel tensions in the Middle East.
The Intruder.
Nigga,
Man, snagged the Mandela catalog creaking. Bro got an alternate.
anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, you um, what's the word? I don't know what the word
You
is.
good?
Yeah.
What you were trying to say?
If you guys enjoyed the video, click the like button, subscribe if you're new. Uh,
Hit the bell.
yeah, click the bell to get notified for all videos. I don't know why I never said that at all.
Look,
Uh,
brain fart. That's okay, bro.
uh, I think that's all I got. Oh, and subscribe to our separate channels, not just the reaction channels. That's something I always forget. Um, yeah, I don't have anything else other than that.
Peace.
Peace.